What's up, everybody? We're in Vegas doing the World Poker Tour, and we're going to be playing some 2-5, sometimes with the $10 straddle today. And for the first hand at the Bellagio, we're going to get dealt King 2 suited on the button. It's going to be the heart variety. It's going to fold all the way around to us on the button, so I'm going to be able to open it up. I make it $15 to go. Small blind is going to be putting in the call, and big blind is going to be folding. So it looks like we're just going to be going heads up to a flop, and it's going to come ace to queen, rainbow. Not the best flop for my hand, but we do have some backdoor equity. We have bottom pair. Also, we can go jack and a 10 for a straight. We also have some two pair possibilities, trip possibilities, and some backdoor flush equity as well. My opponent is going to be putting in a check and small blind. I'm still going to be c-betting here. Sometimes I'll be able to take this pot down as my opponent would have a hand that they can't continue with. So I grab my chips. I'm going to be putting in a c-bet. I make it $10 to go. My opponent thinks about it for a couple of seconds, and they're going to be putting in the call. We go to the turn, and it comes a nice rubber ducky, 2 of spades. Oh, baby, love to see it. We now have trips on the turn. At this point, I'm very confident I have the best hand. My opponent checks, and on the turn, it is still going to be a rainbow board. It's not too many times in poker you have that happen. But yeah, we're still going to be putting in a bet. This time I'm going to be sizing up. I grab my chips. I'm going to be putting out a massive bet of $50. After 1 or 2 seconds, unfortunately, my opponent is going to be laying it down. Would have loved to be able to build this pot, but I guess my opponent didn't have a good enough holding to continue with. And next hand, we're going to be at a new table. I did decide to play with my boy, Jeff Boski. And if you haven't checked out his channel, you can check it out in the description below. Has over 50k subs. Love his channel. But yeah, we decided to play some 1-3 with a mandatory $6 straddle on, just for a couple of hands with him. So technically, this game is bigger than the 2-5 game because nobody's putting a straddle on. So not complaining here. And for the first hand of the game, we're going to wake up with ace-queen offsuit in the straddle. Keep in mind, being in a straddle and there being a $300 cap on the table, I am only playing 50 big blinds right now. Under the gun is going to be putting in a limp for $6. It's going to fold all the way around to the button. They're going to be ISOing. They're going to be bumping it up to $30. Small blind and big blind both fold. And this is a pretty interesting spot. Like I said, I am only playing 50 big blinds effective. Ace-queen offsuit is a really strong holding. Under the gun did limp and button did ISO. There is a decent amount of dead money in the middle here. They're going to have to wake up with a very strong hand to find a call here. So yes, we're going to be bumping it up. It's time to go for it. And I'm not even going to be 3-betting. You already know what time. There's going to be an Aunt Jemima moment. I'm going to go all in one of my first hands at the table for $300. Put in massive pressure on both of my opponents. Under the gun is going to be folding. Unfortunately, my opponent on the button, he's going to snap call. That is not what you want to see. I do let them know I have ace queen. Only going to be running it one time. Let's go straight to the run out. Wait, oh, my favorite hand. And what an unfortunate spot for me. I just wanted to take the dead money. And my opponent wakes up with pocket queens, the ladies. We really needed to drill that ace in order to take the pot down, but didn't find one. So yeah, what a quick way to move tables and just get buried for $300 already. But don't worry, we're definitely going to be rebuying. Next hand after I just rebought, I'm going to get dealt ace-10 offsuit in under the gun position. The $6 straddle is going to be on once again. So I'm going to be opening for $15 to start things off. It's going to fold all the way around to my opponent in the straddle. Yes, nobody has anything to call with here, but they do. They end up flicking it in. So we're going to be going heads up to a flop of queen 9-3, 2 hearts. This is an okay flop here. I mean, not the greatest. Once again, we do have some backdoor equity where we can go runner for a straight. Hopefully we can turn an ace or improve. I just don't really have anything going on for me right here, but it's okay. Let's see if we can still somehow take down this pot. We are heads up after all, right? My opponent's going to be putting in a check, and I'm still going to be putting in a c-bet here, even though I don't have much going on. I do grab my chips. I'm going to be making it $20 to go. And my opponent in the straddle, they're a little bit short stacked, but they're still going to be putting in the call. We go to the turn, and it comes the jack of diamonds. Very good turn here. Now I am open-ended to a straight. Would love to see if I can find a king or an 8 on the river. The pot is building very quickly, and my opponent, once again, does not have that many chips behind. They're going to be checking, and this time around, with them being so short, I don't want to bet here and then get check jammed on turn without having anything. Yes, there is some merit of betting. Sometimes I can just take down the pot right here, right now, but I want to chill this time. I'm going to pump the brakes, play a passive route, so I'm just going to be checking back. We go to the river, and it comes the king of hearts. Oh, baby. I just rivered the nuts straight, not the stone cold nuts, but it is the nuts straight here. And the only reason it's not the stone cold nuts is that there are 3 hearts on the board now, so my opponent could have a flush that they did float it from the flop, so that front end flush did get there, but hopefully they did not. They do put in a check on the river. And I do look at their stack and I notice, yes, they only have $110 behind. Thinking about my size in here. And before you see what size I am going to bet, obviously I have a straight, right? Let me know in the comments below what size you would be choosing here. Based on what's in the pot, you can put a percentage, or you can even just put the exact amount that you're going to bet. And I'm going to say what I'm going to bet here in 3, 2, 1. Yes, we're going for it. Y'all know what time it is. It's going to be on Jemima moment. I am all in on the river, going for that overbet. Yes, that overbet on Jemima, putting my opponent to the test. And they do not snap call. They go into the tank for a little bit. That's what I wanted to see. Because if I get snapped call here, yes, sometimes I'm going to win. But most times they're just going to have a flush. And they could also have the lower end of the straight. But looks like this massive sizing is getting them to think about it for a little bit. And after a bit, they finally flick in the call. I'll let them know I have a straight and turn over my cards. They shake their head and they put their cards into the muck. What a way to get the maximum amount of money there, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful bet on the river. I love me some overbets. And this time, it 100% paid off. More like 130-40% paid off. For this hand, it's going to be pocket pair time. I get dealt pocket nines in low jack position. $6 straddle is still going to be on at this 1-3 game. Under the gun is going to be opening for $15. And in low jack, I'm just going to be putting in that smooth call, really hoping I can make it to the flop for cheap. It's going to fold all the way around to my opponent in the straddle. Looks like they're grabbing more chips than $15. And they're going to be putting in the 3-bet squeeze all the way up to $65. My opponent under the gun folds. And I think about it for a little bit. Once again, I am playing short because I haven't got up to $600 at this table. And the mandatory straddle is on. But I do think about it for a little bit. And I say, hey, might as well go for it. Let me at least see a flop. So I end up flicking in the call. So we're going to go heads up to a flop of 2-9 deuce. Are you kidding me? I just flopped the stone cold nuts. Best hand possible on the board. There is a 0% chance my opponent has squads. They are never going to 3-bet squeeze with pocket deuces. Just never. I mean, if they somehow had this hand, I would personally give every viewer of this video $10. That's how confident I am that they're never going to have pocket deuces. So yes, amazing flop for me, and even more amazing as I see my opponent is going to be putting in a C-bet here, which is expected. They do grab their chips. They put on a small wager of $40, and of course not going anywhere, and I'm not going to be putting in that raise. I'm just going to be putting in that smooth call. So I take my chips, and I do flick it in. We go to the turn, and it comes the ace of diamonds. Now, could be a good turn, could be a bad turn. Good turn if my opponent has ace king. Bad turn if my opponent has pocket aces. That would really suck, right? And I do see that my opponent is not slowing down here. They're grabbing more chips again. That's fine, no problem. Loving the run out so far. They do load up the clip, and they're going to be betting $105. And once again, not going anywhere yet. Pretty confident that I still have the best hand. So I grab my chips and I flick in a call. Let's just hope we see a really good river. We go to it and it comes another ace. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? This is like some online poker run out, right? But do you see? It happens in person. That's why I don't know why people complain so much about online poker. But anyway, yes, this run out sucks. It is literally the most BS run out that can possibly happen in this 3-bet squeeze pot. I went from having the stone cold nuts on the flop, and now I lose to any ace in the deck. Not a fun spot to be here. At this point, I'm hoping my opponent checks. And after a couple of seconds, my opponent does announce he's going to be all in on the river. I do not have that much behind, ladies and gentlemen. I only have $100. I don't put in a call right away. I go into the tank. And I tank and I tank and I tank. It even gets to a point that I let the table know, wow, this is sick. I can't believe this run out just happened. I flopped a boat. I flopped an entire full house. And I even turn over my cards and show that I have pocket nines. Do you really have pocket nines? And I said, yes. Look, you're seeing it right now. I have pocket nines. This is crazy and insane. And I still tank for a minute to a minute and a half. Believe it or not, I just felt like I was as beat as I've ever been beat in a 3-bet pot. We even get to the point that we're at 2 minutes. And I talk it up to him. I'm like, yo, I don't think I can call here. I don't know if you're ever bluffing. I mean, if they're somehow bluffing, then kudos to them. But damn, do people really bluff this spot? Let me know if people actually bluff this spot. And let me know, would you have called in the comments below as well? Because yeah, just really want to know, right? Want to see some different perspectives that everybody has out there for playing live poker and being in a similar spot like this. And it just really happens, right? But anyway, after the deliberating and all the factors that are playing in, I take my pocket nines, and yes, I don't put in that extra $100. Felt like I was lighting $100 on fire. Didn't want to do it. So I do lay down my cards, and my opponent says, do you want to see my cards? I said, yeah, if you want to show me. And he says for the vlog, and he shows King Jack of Diamonds. So he was capable of bluffing here. Very surprising that I saw this happen, but shout out to them and kudos to them for finding this bluff and making me fold the best hand. I mean, you got to give it up to them. No complaints here. Well played. Nice hand. Just gonna have to move on to the next one. Shortly after that hand, my friend Jeff Boski ends up getting cooler than a spot, so he decided to call it a night, and I decided, hey, I'm done with Bellagio. I'm taking my talents back to the Wynn. So now we're going to be back playing 2-5, sometimes with the $10 straddle on. Yeah, I'm everywhere today, just playing a whole bunch of different places and stakes. But yeah, first hand here, we're going to get dealt 5-3 suited, the heart variety in cutoff position. Under the gun is going to find a massive open here for 4x. They make it $20 to go. It does fold all the way around to me in cutoff. And I think about it for a little bit, but this time I want to play some poker. Let me just flick it in and see what I can do. So I do end up putting in a call. And we have one more caller in small blind. They decide to join the party as well. So it looks like it's going to be 3 of us. And we're going to be headed to a flop of 2 ace 4. I mean, come on now. One of the first hands here, and I already flopped the stone cold nuts. This time, this shit better hold. I'm not trying to fucking fold rivers here. So you better keep it clean and not give me one of those ridiculous online runouts in live poker. Anyway, back to the hand. Looking pretty good here. If anybody has an ace, we can definitely build this pot no problem. And it is a rainbow board. So yeah, we're feeling pretty good. Small line puts in the check. Under the gun puts in the check. Would have just loved if under the gun c-bet this flop. But they don't. So looks like I'm going to have to take the initiative. I have to build this pot myself. So I do grab my chips. I'm going to put out a wager. It's just going to be a small one. I make it $20 to go. Sadly, small blind is not joining the party anymore. They lay down their cards. But under the gun is going to be putting in the call. We go to the turn and it comes the 4 of spades. And this time around again, we have a rainbow board on the turn. So no flush draws are possible. I would have loved if a backdoor flush draw did decide to come in, since I would have given my opponent an opportunity to have more hands to continue with. But hey, still not complaining here. They put in the check. And yeah, we are playing a little bit deep here. So I do want to build this pot as quickly as possible. Of course, we have to put in that double barrel here. And I'm going to be putting in a massive bet on the turn. Yes, and overbet. Y'all know I love to do it. So I grab my chips, load up the clip, and I'm going to be making it $130 to go. You know my favorite number is 13, right? As usual. And my opponent goes into the tank. About maybe 15 to 20 something seconds goes by. And they end up mucking their cards face up, and they show that they had an ace. I am a little bit surprised that my opponent folded an ace here. I don't know if they put me on a 4 or what they put me on exactly. But yeah, they are drawing pretty well. I mean, if they hit a 4 on the river, they have a boat with an ace. If they hit an ace on the river, they have the nuts. So really surprising to see somebody at 2-5 make this fold. Just somebody period making this fold. But hey, oh well, would have loved to keep building a pot, but guess my wager was a little bit too much for my opponent. Oh well, what can you do, right? And next hand, I'm going to get dealt 6-5 suited in under the gun +1 position. And this time I decided to be a little bit loose here. I want to play some poker, especially after everything that's been happening today. So I say, hey, let's get it. I decided to open up for $15. Low jack's going to be putting in the call. And then even cutoff is going to be putting in the call. Button folds. Then small blind, instead of just calling, looks like they have other plans. They decide to put in that 3-bet squeeze and they bump it up all the way to $50. And I'm not going to be going anywhere yet. Have a decent high equity hand. I would love to see a flop. And I don't see anybody behind me back raising based on information I've gotten from them by playing at this table for a little bit already. So I'm just going to be putting in a call. And I guess everybody else is getting really good odds because low jack puts in a call. And then cutoff comes along with the call as well. So it looks like it's going to be a family pot kind of. Well, half a family pot because it's 4 of us. But hey, hopefully we can find a good one. So we're going to be going 4 ways to a flop of 5 jack 6, 2 clubs. Oh baby, we just flopped 2 pair, which is going to be the best 2 pair in this scenario. There is no way in hell anybody has jack 6 or jack 5 suited. That would make 0 sense. If they did, I guess they're going to take a lot of my money because that would be insane. Nobody should have that hand. And it looks like small blind is going to be keeping their foot on the gas. They're going to be putting out a bet here and it's going to be roughly 50% in the pot. They grab their chips and they make it $105 to go. And I am playing relatively deep here with small blind. I started the hand with a little bit of more than $1,300 and with 2 players behind, my hand is a little bit vulnerable. I definitely want to bump up the stakes right now. Do not want somebody to hit their flush for free or see a turn for free. So you already know what we got to do. We got to bump it up. I'm putting in that raise in position. I'm putting in a massive one at that. I'm going to be bumping it up all the way to $375. It looks like my opponent to my left feels like that's too much for them. They're going to be folding. And the other player in cutoff is going to be folding as well. Small blind, however, thinks about it for a little bit, and they're not going anywhere yet. Yes, they have a decent holding. They put in a call. We go to the turn, and it comes a rubber ducky, 2 of diamonds. That's the time I want to see that card. This pretty much has not changed anything. My opponent never has 4-3 suited. They're not going to 3-bet squeeze that. Once again, they somehow have it. I guess you could just take my chips. But yeah, feeling pretty good here. And I'm even feeling better when I see my opponent is not checking. And I'm like, what? Why are they not checking? I just raised. Like, what's going on here? But they said, fuck you, Brandon. I don't believe your hand is made yet. And they grab chips and they're going to be donking. Yes, they donk lead for $500. And I'm like, well, this is a free $500. Not only that, I only have about $381 to $400 behind. So they just made playing this turn that much easier because you already know what we're going to do. There's no way in hell I'm just going to call here. It's time to bump up the stakes. Y'all know what time it is. Once again, it's going to be an Aunt Jemima moment. I'm going to be all in on the turn for $881 total. And my opponent asked the dealer how much more. And he let them know it's about $400 more. And they end up flicking in the call. At this point, I know I'm ahead, but there are a lot of bad rivers that can come. We really need the river to be a non-club, a non-jack, and not a deuce. Those are the 3 worst cards I can possibly see on the river. And we're going to go to it, and it's all in pot, and it's going to come in 8-ball corner pocket. It is the 8 of diamonds, but I am not too worried about the backdoor flush coming in, to be honest. Didn't really put that in my opponent's range, so feeling pretty good. I confidently turn over my 2 pair, 6-5 suited, and my opponent is a little bit shocked. He did not expect me to have the 6-5 suited there, and just shakes his head, mucks his cards, and we take down a massive pot at the Wynn. Are you kidding me? I started the hand with $1,300. So I take $1,300 from them, plus a little bit of the dead money from my opponents. I pretty much just won almost 300 big blinds in this pot. You have to understand how many big blinds that is. That's truly insane. Man, people are going crazy during the World Poker Tour. This series is amazing. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do stop by the amazing venue, the Wynn. I love it here. And for this hand, another suited connector. We're going to get dealt 5-4 suited in the big blind. Hijack's going to be putting in a limp for $5. They are pretty short here, so I can understand why they're limping. And my opponent in cutoff, they're going to be ice win. They make it $25 to go. Folds to small blind, and they're going to be putting in a call. I decided to put in a call in big blind, hoping that the limper doesn't just randomly jam. And they don't do it. They put in a call as well. So it looks like it's going to be a half family pot again. It's going to be 4 of us. We're going to go to a flop, and it's going to come 6-3-2, but all diamonds. So we flop the nuts straight, but it's not the nuts, right? I am losing to any 2 diamonds and any flush in the deck. So I'm going to have to tread cautiously here. Hopefully I somehow have the best hand and can just avoid a 4th diamond on his board. Small blind puts in a check. I check, of course. Hijack checks, and cutoff's going to check too. Looks like it's a check party. There's checks all around. So let's go to the turn. And it's going to come to 9 of spades. Pretty good turn here. Feeling really good about a diamond not coming yet. Small blind puts in a check. And at this point, I'm trying to take this pot down. So I do grab my chips. And I'm going to put on a wager of $100. My opponent in hijack announces they're going to be all in for $220. And not really what I wanted to see here, but only $120 more for me to call if it does fold back around to me. And it's going to do just that. Cutoff lays it down and small blind lays it down. So I can't go anywhere. I pretty much snap call and just hope that there's no diamond on the river. So let's go to it, and it's going to come the king of diamonds. Not what I want to see, right? I am pretty dead to a lot of hands. I mean, what do I really beat here? Some random 2 pair or a set or some random... I don't beat much. But yeah, that's the only thing that I beat. And I do see that my opponent turns over 9-8 offsuit with the 8 of diamonds. So yeah, they had top pair on the turn, weak kicker, and they just hit a diamond on the river. They were drawing pretty dead, but not fully dead. Love the fact that I was able to get this in with them. Can't win all the time when you're ahead. At least it was a small pot. Nice hand by my opponent. We double them up. Just gonna have to move on. Next hand, I'm gonna wake up with it. Yes, I'm gonna get dealt 10-9 offsuit on the button. And low jack's gonna be opening for $25. Yes, that is a 5x open with this specific player. Has been doing some crazy openings. They've been going 5x, 10x, sometimes even 20x blind with $100. So when somebody's doing this, I definitely want to play with them. And yeah, I mean, it's 10-9 offsuit, but they've been giving me action in some hands. I've been giving them action. So I say, hey, F it. I got position. Let's play some poker. I end up flicking in the call on the button when it folds to me. And both my opponents in the blinds are going to fold. So that's beautiful. We're going to be heads up. And we're going to be going to a flop of Jack 9-10 Rainbow. Pretty decent flop here. I do flop 2 pair, but it's not the best 2 pair. Going to be bottom 2 pair this time. And I am automatically losing to any straight, whether it's King Queen or 8-7. So I do have to tread a little bit cautiously here. But looks like my opponent's going to be the cautious one. He puts in the check after the massive opening pre. And I'm going to be putting a bet in here on this flop. I grab my chips. I make it $35 to go. And doesn't take my opponent too long. Pretty much snap, flicks in the call. And we go to the turn, and it comes a rubber ducky, 2 of spades. Beautiful turn. 4 card straight did not come in. We do see that the backdoor spade draw is coming in, but I'm feeling pretty solid about my 2 pair here. My opponent puts in a check. And there are a lot of dangerous rivers that can put me in the blender and the bin. So you already know we got to put in that double barrel. And there's still some hands my opponent's going to have to call here. So yeah, we're going to go for it. We've done this before. I think we've done this the whole damn video. We're putting in that overbet on the turn, on the rubber ducky. I grab my chips. I'm going to be making it a massive $150 to go. And I was making some speech play here, talking to my opponent, saying, oh, it's a deuce. Because he said, why I bet so big? And I said, it's a deuce. Might as well, right? I got to bet the deuce. How can I not bet a deuce? So we're laughing, chopping it up a little bit. And after 20 to 30 seconds or so, my opponent does come along with the call. So we're going to go to the river, and it's going to come the 6 of hearts. This pretty much didn't change much unless my opponent has some jack 6 suited or some random ass hand like that. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. They can wake up with a hand like that, though. I mean, they're playing a lot of pots. Like, VPIP is literally off the charts. But yeah, my opponent does check, and I think about it for a little bit. Should I ever bet here? Should I just check back and give up? And as I'm going to the tank here, let me know in the comments below, what would you have done in this specific spot? Would you have bet or would you have checked? And I'm going to let you know my decision in 3, 2, 1. Yes, I'm still going to go for it. Mr. Aggressive here. I'm trying to get paid. I grab my chips and I'm going for a massive bet. Yes, again, I'm going to be making it 4 hundo on the river. And he goes into the tank. Things went from being friendly to now they're still friendly, but you can feel that he's like, damn, what a rough spot. But that's what I want to see. I'm happy that he didn't snap call. He's at the point that he's talking and he's never going to be raising. Usually when a player starts talking and they're saying things, they're pretty much deciding whether they're going to be calling or folding. I don't think I've ever seen somebody talk and then later, after a minute or two, they decide to go all in or raise. It's pretty much insane. So yeah, they're going into the tank. About a minute and a half goes by. Unfortunately, they do lay down their cards and they later let me know that they had top pair with the jack. Obviously, they didn't have 2 pair because they bought a call. So yeah, I do like my bet on the river. Unfortunately, just didn't get paid this time. What a beautiful comeback at the end that was. Bellagio didn't go well, but as soon as I went to the win, I managed to recover and salvage this session. I finished with a profit of the day of $385. First hand of this video is a set over a set. The question is, which side of it am I on? Check out this video to find out.